What happened to the cast of Roadhouse after 33 years? From the dazzling lights of Hollywood to hidden corners few people know about. From the peak of fame to life's unexpected turns, not everyone was able to hold on to their former glory. Let's join NTX Lives to uncover these untold stories. Let's go. Ben Gazzara, born August 28, 1930, played Brad Wesley, the most prominent and memorable antagonist in Roadhouse 1989. He is a powerful figure who manipulates the entire town of Jasper through money, authority, and fear. Rather than a hot-headed villain who relies only on violence, he calmly controls everything around him, making the character even more terrifying.
You're a bleeder.
With nothing more than a slow gaze, a low, steady voice, and an imposing presence, he does not portray Wesley as a simple evil man, but as someone who genuinely believes he has the right to control everything. This confidence and calmness create a constant sense of unease whenever he appears on screen. Ben was known for being extremely serious about his craft. Even as an established name, he carefully studied every layer of Wesley's psychology to ensure the role was not one-dimensional. He was private, thoughtful, and deeply committed to art, never chasing Hollywood fame but focusing on the quality of his performances. His career was often defined by cold, complex, or morally ambiguous characters. This brought him recognition, but also sometimes limited the variety of roles he was offered. In his later years, he battled pancreatic cancer and passed away in 2012 at the age of 81. Despite this, Brad Wesley remains one of the most iconic roles of his career.
Because I like you.
Sam Elliott, born August 9, 1944, is the actor who brought to life the most beloved character in Roadhouse, Wade Garrett, an icon of a grounded, mature, and capable man. Although not the main protagonist, Garrett adds a special depth to the story, serving as a bridge between the past and the present.
I sure ain't gonna show you my dick.
He is not the type of star who stands out through scandals or fleeting fame, but an actor remembered for his consistency and unmistakable presence. The most striking quality of his character is his calmness and absolute confidence. Garrett never needs to prove himself because his presence speaks for itself. Behind the screen, Sam Elliott is known as a professional and humble man. He does not overshadow his co-stars, but instead supports them, helping make the relationship between Dalton and Garrett feel authentic. Through this role, Sam Elliott proved that an actor does not need to change himself to fit into Hollywood, but can turn his own uniqueness into a signature identity. Elliott spent many years playing small roles and being overshadowed in major films. At times, he was typecast and not given characters with real depth. He eventually chose to prioritize meaningful work over fame. Even into his 80s, Sam Elliott is still alive and continues to remain active in the entertainment industry.
Cut it the fuck loose.
Jimmy Reno in Roadhouse, played by Marshall Teague, born April 16, 1953, is an action opponent defined by an imposing physique and a raw, almost primitive sense of violence. The character requires very little dialogue, yet still delivers a strong feeling of danger through cold eyes, decisive movement, and an oppressive silence that fills every scene. The strength of Jimmy Reno lies in his simplicity and efficiency. With no complex inner psychology, he is built as a stubborn collision machine, always ready for direct confrontation. This minimalism makes every appearance feel weighty and grounded, creating realism rather than over-dramatized tension. Behind the screen, Marshall Teague is known as a disciplined, straightforward, and highly resilient professional. With a military background, he carries a strict and focused working attitude. He is willing to perform many of his own action scenes, accepting physical impact to maintain authenticity rather than relying heavily on stunt doubles or visual effects. Although his career was not particularly glamorous, and he was often typecast as a villain, this actually helped him build a distinct identity. He does not need to appear often, but whenever he does, he leaves a lasting impression. He is now 73 years old and lives a very private life, away from the spotlight of Hollywood, rarely appearing on screen anymore. Watching all the way to this point feels like flipping through a living photo album of TV history. So, how many characters do you actually remember so far? Drop their names in the comments, and let's see who's got the sharpest memory. Patrick Swayze, born August 18, 1952, played the lead role of James Dalton in Roadhouse, 1989. He was not the kind of action hero who only relied on punches and brute force to win. Instead, he was a cooler, a legendary fixer hired to clean up chaotic bars, control violence, and handle troublemakers, using calmness and control to keep everything in order.
It's amazing, you know. I mean, I've heard from every cable channel anywhere, if they've got ratings issues, if they want to crank their ratings, put on Rowdy.
To make Dalton as authentic as possible, Patrick personally performed many of the dangerous scenes instead of relying entirely on stunt doubles. He studied carefully how a man shaped by many battles would move. He was the kind of actor who never allowed himself to do things halfway. Behind the screen, Patrick Swayze was known as a deeply emotional and private person. His marriage to Lisa Nemi was one of Hollywood's rare, enduring love stories. The two stayed together for more than 3 decades, overcoming all the pressures of fame and public life. He had once overcome a serious injury that ended his dream of becoming a ballet dancer. For someone raised in the world of dance, it was a devastating blow. But instead of giving up, Patrick shifted into acting and turned that loss into fuel to push himself further. The greatest turning point of his life came in 2008 when he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Patrick Swayze passed away on September 14, 2009, at the age of 57. Behind the image of Cody in Roadhouse, Jeff Healey, born March 25, 1966, did not live a typical Hollywood success story. He lost his sight at a very young age due to a rare cancer and grew up in darkness, forced to find his own way of surviving with nothing but his hands and determination. Without physical advantage or celebrity glamour, he entered music not as a path to fame, but as a way not to disappear from the world. Jeff Healey's effort was never about acting well, but about turning his real self into part of the character. In an industry that heavily values appearance, he was placed outside the system from the beginning. Instead of trying to fit in, he chose his own path, playing the guitar in a completely unique way, placing it on his lap, leaning into every note as if he were fighting against fate itself. There was no performance or attempt to appear special. His authenticity alone created Cody as a living character, not just a role. The deepest struggle was not his blindness, but always standing on the margins despite having enough talent to be at the center. And just as recognition finally began to grow, life gave him no more time. He passed away in 2008 at the age of 42 from sarcoma, a quiet but heavy ending, much like the way he lived and endured. Kelly Lynch's role as Dr. Elizabeth Doc Clay in Roadhouse stands out for its blend of intelligence and strength. She presents an image of an independent, rational woman who still carries emotional depth within a violent world, never overshadowed even beside a dominant male character like Dalton. She does not choose a safe or overly polished performance. Instead, She intentionally compresses emotion, allowing every glance and silence to carry weight. This restraint creates a character who feels both sharp and layered, letting the audience sense her inner world without anything being overexplained. Notably, Kelly Lynch does not turn Doc Clay into a flawless ideal. She allows moments of hesitation and vulnerability while still preserving the character's dignity and clarity of mind. Kelly Lynch herself is known for being private yet resilient, having overcome a serious accident and the stereotype of being just a model for looks. Rather than arguing against it, she chose to prove herself through acting, building a reputation as a performer with real depth. Her personal strength naturally shaped her portrayal of a grounded, capable woman like Doc Clay in Roadhouse, making the character feel authentic without effort or exaggeration. She has also stepped away from Hollywood's spotlight, preferring a quieter and more stable personal life. Now in her late 60s, she selectively takes on projects and prioritizes time with her family. Denise stands out through a rare blend of allure and action-driven energy that is uncommon for female supporting roles in the film. Julie Michaels, born July 20th, 1970, is not the kind of star polished by studio lighting, but someone who physically throws herself into the impact to create something the audience believes is real. In Roadhouse, Denise is not just a minor character, but part of a fast, tight, and uncompromising rhythm of violence. Every strike and movement carries a sense of weight and force, because it is not just acting, but skill honed into instinct. Behind those moments, however, lies a less glamorous reality. Coming from a stunt-performing background, she never hesitated to perform her own action scenes, accepting risk to preserve authenticity instead of relying entirely on visual effects. She exists in that environment not through luck, but through discipline and toughness. No waiting for opportunities, no need for the spotlight, only the drive to be skilled enough not to be replaced. This is what defines her foundation, a name that carries weight behind the scenes, where reputation is not measured by how many people know you, but by whether you can do what others are unwilling to attempt. Now, 56 years old, she has stepped away from the spotlight, but has not disappeared. She is simply where she has always belonged, behind the scenes, where the real impacts happen. Red West, born March 8, 1936, brings a deeply grounded authenticity to the role of Red Webster. He is not portrayed as a hero or a villain, but as a man caught in the middle of violence, simply trying to survive. The character stands out through his simplicity, limited dialogue, and emotional weight, acting as an anchor that makes the film's world feel more real. His performance is not about drawing attention to himself, but about keeping the character believable. Restrained emotions, using experienced eyes and weathered expressions to convey depth.
New windshield's gonna cost you more than that old beater's worth. My bike's pretty scrappy.
Once a member of Elvis Presley's close Memphis Mafia, West entered the film industry with real-life experience, but also carried controversies from behind the Hollywood scenes. He was never a leading star, yet he became a familiar face in many action films, often appearing in supporting roles that were still memorable enough for audiences to recognize him. However, the deeper challenge of his career was always standing on the edge of Hollywood, having personality and authenticity, but rarely being given central roles. The limitation was not lack of ability, but not fitting into the glamorous system. In his personal life, he was private, practical, and never chased fame. He passed away in 2017 at the age of 81, leaving behind a quiet but meaningful legacy. An actor who never needed to stand at the center to be remembered, but was defined by his sincerity and truthfulness.
Found somebody mugger than she was. That's life. Who can explain it? Beautiful day, isn't it?
Sunshine Parker, born June 10, 1927, brings to life Emmett as a simple yet emotionally rich figure. Not a hero, but an ordinary, kind man existing within a violent environment. The character leaves an impression through sincerity. Few words, slow presence, yet every appearance carries warmth and trustworthiness, adding emotional depth to the film alongside its action-driven intensity.
I swear he does that just to piss me off. Who does?
His effort was never about standing out, but about keeping everything as natural as possible. Without showiness or exaggeration, he used lived experience and a calm demeanor to shape a character with its own quiet weight. However, behind this was a path filled with challenges. He entered acting later in life, without a glamorous background, and was often limited to supporting roles. Even with the ability to convey depth, he was rarely given attention in an industry that prioritizes striking and prominent faces. He lived a private life, never chasing fame or recognition. He passed away in 1999 at the age of 71, closing a quiet but steady journey. Though never a major star, he left behind a distinct impression through sincerity and a simple yet memorable style of performance.
So what do you think? Must have been 20 people at that room this past year. No phone, no television.
Terry Funk, born June 30th, 1944, played Morgan at the age of 44. He is not a carefully crafted villain, but a character who stands out through direct aggression, intense eyes, and a constant sense of being ready to explode. This comes from Funk's background as a professional wrestler, where every impact is real, raw, and unfiltered. His effort was not only physical, but also about controlling instinct. Coming from a world where fighting was real, he had to learn how to adjust force, rhythm, and expression for film, maintaining danger without losing control. He was willing to perform many of his own action scenes, accepting risk in order to preserve authenticity. However, behind this was a difficult life. After years in wrestling, he accumulated serious injuries. His body deteriorated over time, yet he continued working. The deeper cost of his career was the toll of a profession known for violence, paid for with health and endurance. In his personal life, he lived modestly, without chasing glamorous images. In his later years, he gradually stepped away from professional activity. Terry Funk passed away in 2023 at the age of 79, leaving behind a legacy of someone who gave everything to his craft, even at a significant personal cost.
Hey, how'd you like to tell us what the fuck's going on? Gonna help us out or not?
Kathleen Wilhoit, born June 29, 1964, played Carrie Ann at the age of 24, portraying a vulnerable yet emotionally rich woman, representing people struggling to survive in harsh environments. The character stands out through a blend of fragility and survival instinct, creating a sense of closeness and emotional relatability.
I have so many great Roadhouse stories, I actually do. I don't think that one's...
The distinctive quality of her performance lies in its naturalness, free from polish or exaggeration. Her way of speaking, her eyes, and her expressions give the impression of a real person stepping into the film. Without needing action or dramatic escalation, the character still carries emotional weight through feeling alone. Her effort is rooted in keeping everything grounded and in rhythm, never overplaying, yet still allowing the audience to sense inner pain and emotional conflict. This kind of performance requires strong control, as even slightly overdoing it would break the authenticity. In real life, Kathleen Wilhoit is not a flashy star, but a steady, resilient actress who often appears in supporting roles while consistently leaving a distinct impression. This foundation allows her to create smaller characters with depth, enough to stay in the audience's memory. Now, in her early 60s, she is still active in the entertainment industry, but remains relatively private, mainly taking selective roles and voice acting work.
I had that with ER, and Tony Edwards was one of my high school boyfriends. Roadhouse to me, if I can tell you, was like the classic sex, drugs, and...
Roadhouse, 1989, where Dalton brings order to chaos with nothing but calm presence. A quiet legend who can still silence an entire bar without raising his voice. If you still feel this vibe, don't forget to subscribe and join us for the next stories ahead.